Hello beautiful people, welcome to your practical application of astrology and my personal story share. As you can tell, I'm back in the nature, even though completely different place, completely different continent. So I made my way across the pond, across the Atlantic, and I landed in USA, in Tennessee, and I'm staying at my friend's farm where I'm going to be enjoying the nature sides for a month and also helping with the farm work. So let's see how that goes for these Taurus. And yeah, I'm just hoping on to share some of my experiences and of course how this is relating and related to the current astrological weather, because I'm recording this on Saturday. So happy weekend everyone, and we are preparing for the lunar eclipse in Pisces, which is coming up for me here in Tennessee. It will be on Tuesday night, and for depending where you are, it could be for you on Wednesday morning, but either way it's just about to hit us few days from now, and people who are lunation sensitive like myself are definitely already tapping into this energy, so I'm gonna share some of that too. So yeah, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to produce my usual content volume in the past 2 weeks because it's just been quite hectic on my end with all the packing, moving and adjusting and traveling and settling down and jet lags and different time zones and all the rest of it. But here I am trying to share what's going on in the present moment. But yeah, it's just been very interesting to observe how my ego self is reacting and responding to all these changes, sudden changes, and being completely outside of my comfort zone, especially being here on a farm, which is something that is a brand new experience for me, something I've never done before. Here you go, you know, North Node in Aries, and Mars is just about to square the nodes on Monday, and this is going to be, of course, fully active for the upcoming lunar eclipse, but also still active for the next eclipse, which will be the solar eclipse in Libra on October 2nd. So yeah, it's all about this new direction, becoming a new version of ourselves, because we are so, and I'm not, obviously I can't talk for everyone, but I can talk for myself, used to the versions of ourselves that we, you know, are familiar with and experienced before, that when this is being challenged, we are like, ooh, I feel a little bit confused, I feel a little bit lost, I don't know who I am, I don't know where I'm going. So this is kind of what's been coming up for me quite a lot recently. My last week in the UK, my living circumstances changed. There were new lodgers to the apartment I was staying in. I had to move rooms, and it was actually a family originated from India, so it was a very different culture, very different way of living and cohabiting. So here with my Pluto in the 9th house Sagittarius and my Jupiter in the 1st house Aquarius, you know, squaring the nodes, pointing to the south node in Scorpio, like this is the transitions that we are all experiencing or will be experiencing at some stage, where we will be introduced or reintroduce different dynamics, different ways of being through the eyes of different cultures and people that are coming from a different place, different perspective, different life experience, and we will have to find a way. How can we find a middle ground? How can we cohabit? How can we coexist together, where actually nobody has to sacrifice who they are or made feel wrong for who they are or what they believe, but at the same time it creates this, you know, middle space, the middle space for growth, and this neutralization of these polarities, which is something that I already been discussing, because these messages have been coming out so strongly for me, even throughout my visit of Mexico, when I said that this energy of neutralization of the charge, and this is something that Spirit has been bringing forward for me in my experience a lot recently as well, about these positives and negatives and how we can neutralize it, come to the point of zero, to the point of equilibrium, which from which the new can be created. So me having all these variety of experiences in this past couple of weeks, which were quite interesting, because prior to that I was again walking down the memory line, being in the UK, revisiting the old homes, and you know, just like observing myself falling into the same patterns, the old aspects of myself coming out, you know, the old limiting beliefs that are familiar to me because they are attached to this version of myself that I've experienced while I used to live in the UK, which was 19 years of my life, almost half of my life. So yeah, and then suddenly all these new energies started coming up, where as of May, really, since I came back from Mexico, all these old situations and people that I was relying on in the past that were like the staple of my life suddenly one by one started being removed, just like I was mentioning in previous videos, like the game where you start taking the sticks out until the tower falls. And also this tower card has been quite present. It came out for me and Marissa in some of our recent readings, and also one of my recent readings that I made for YouTube. I think it was for the new moon in Virgo. The tower card came out, and also in some of the clients' readings, which is that the tower is going to fall apart. It is going to fall down because it's built on the foundation of the past, which is no longer in resonance and in alignment with where we go in, with these new energies that are streaming through for us. And this is also for me personally, in my personal experience, and now still being in the Virgo season, even though Sun is now in his final decan, which is the Taurian decan, we creating a new foundation. And I can really see these energies, how they were showing up in my life with the Virgo element of Virgo, the first decan of Virgo, which is, Virgo, and how I was, struggling with this learning and adjusting and, like creating this new ways of dealing with the realities I was experiencing. And then we had the Virgo Capricorn, this structure and restructuring, and now is the Virgo Taurus, which is where, of course, the Sun will be for this. I'm sorry, I'm in a nature, even though I do have a bug repellent, I'm just getting eaten. They love my blood. I'm the new meat on the market over here. So even during this full moon in Virgo, of course, full moon in Pisces, the Sun will be on the Taurus decan of Virgo, which is all about the foundation. It's all about this self-nurture and self-care that is helping us to create this new baseline, this new root system for the life that we are building as we go in ahead, because this entire, like the core message of this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, which I also am observing myself struggling, engaging my logical mind. Even when I was recording my astrological forecast, I was like, well, there is not much I'm getting over here, there's not much that I feel that I could be talking about, because the message is very simple. It's just, how do we actually integrate and embody this simple message, which is saying that yes, the past is truly coming to the closing phase. This 29 degrees Pluto in the sign of Capricorn retrograde, and having this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, whilst the nodes are still in Aries and Libra, and Pisces all about culmination, and it is in conjunction with Neptune, which is again about culmination. Sun moon being behind Neptune, which is about closing phase, this closing of the chapters where we played certain roles, where we were certain identities that we were so strongly attached to. But with Mars squaring the nodes and pointing to the North Node and being in a sign of Cancer, which is where Mars is going to be for a while, because even though it is going to move into the sign of Leo and then retrograde, start its retrograde in December, he's going to retrograde back into the sign of Cancer in January. So Mars will be back in a sign of Cancer for the new moon in Pisces. So we have all these energies of the identity, who are we, who we identify ourselves as, and is this really still what resonates with us and what we want to stay attached to going forward. So, with regards to my example and my experience, like I said, interacting with different people from completely different background, different culture, different lifestyle, different volume levels again and stuff, and not feeling not want to make them wrong, not trying to judge and go like, oh yeah, I don't like this, or I don't resonate with this, or whatever. But at the same time, from their perspective, it could be the same thing, like, well, we don't resonate with that and stuff, but how can we cohabit and live together with harmony, because we are here on this planet Earth, is the home for all of us, and how can we cohabit on this planet in harmony and balance, despite the fact that we are all unique, even though we are all coming from the same source. But as we know, throughout our incarnation, in a human form, we all have a purpose, we all have a unique soul signature, and we all came here to shine our true, unique, individuated essence into the outer reality, to influence it by this unique energy, and to together co-create a different pattern, which is the Aquarius. So having this experience of the past week where I had to really adjust once again everything, and this is again the Virgo, learning and adjusting throughout my stay in the UK. I had to adjust things many times because first cohabiting with my friend, and then the situations changed when they moved away with their family, and then I was on my own for 10 days, which was what I spoke about last time. So I had a completely different energetical influence around me, where I could do things based on that frequency, and then cohabiting with different people I never met, from cultures I never cohabited with before, and then being in the transition. This all requires flexibility, required for me flexibility and continuous adjustments. How am I living my everyday life? How am I able or not able to do things how I'm used to, with this rigid, stubborn Taurus? I want to do things this way because this is how I always done them, and this is where I've always done them at this time, and whatever. And that all had to be under review. And then of course having this grace and compassion for myself, that I wasn't able to deliver what I my ego wanted to deliver. Like I said, my intention was to create a final practical application of astrology prior to me living in the UK, but it just wasn't humanly possible with everything else that I had to take care of, with the packing and preparation for my travel to the US, which if people travel to US and not being US citizen experience prior, it can be quite stressful because of the of the special approach that foreigners have coming to the US, especially if it's like for the first time and stuff. A lot of questions and stuff like that, and there is never a guarantee that you're gonna be let into the country. So having to deal with all that stress, and at the same time there are still circumstances that I'm overlooking with regards to me reapplying for my citizenship, which is awaiting me for when to deal with when I return to Slovakia next month. So it's all this continuous being bombarded by all these different things from every angle, which are new things for me, new energies that I did not have to interact with before. So this is continuously making me to recalibrate and continuously change. What am I doing? How am I doing it? How am I going to be dealing with what I normally do under this influence and stuff? And then obviously arriving here in Tennessee, and I never been here in my life, but actually it looks very familiar. It looks like Bulgaria. So I'm like, oh yeah, it feels very much like home. And then once again, interacting with different energies, different people, different setups, being on a working farm, there are certain responsibilities that also I have to adhere to, because I came here for energy exchange, to stay for a month, but also to help. So, this is a brand new schedule once again that, I need to adjust myself to, also going through the time zone change, jet lag and everything else, getting used to people I never met before, some people that I'm familiar with but not met in person, and there is more changes yet to come, with people coming for a retreat next week for the equinox, and even prior to that for for the full moon, and some people staying, some people going. So that's what I mean. So it's this continuous learning and adjusting. And why am I sharing all this? How it is, how is this even to do anything with anything or anyone? Because this is exactly what it is. This is exactly the energy we are interacting with. We know what doesn't work. We know what is no longer supporting us and going to be supportive to us going forward into this, deeper into Age of Aquarius, because of course we're already in it, but we're still in a very early stage, where, as I mentioned previously, we can see the totality of manifestation of the Pisces age. We can see the totality of what was, but we not yet see the manifestation of the Aquarian age. We see only signs, and we have these downloads and we intuit about it, but we don't really know what it will look like and how it will impact us in everyday life, right? Because it's not something we experienced before. So we are all experiencing these multiple energies, because of course we are awakening to our multidimensionality, and that we are not just one singular identity, because we all know that when we interact with different people in different environments, different aspects of ourselves are coming out to play and be present for the conversation. So this is something that I really, was very aware of and observing at myself and my behavior, like how am I differently interacting with these people, dot people, you know, what kind of version of me is coming out, and what also insecurities are coming up through all these different interaction. Even like I said, you know, I never been on a farm before, never done a farm work, you know, never lived in this kind of setup. Like, I mean, it's beautiful, like the nature around is absolutely stunning, but also we are living in a rural area in isolation. There are certain, you know, conveniences that are lacking, well, not really lacking, but they are not necessarily available. And there are certain adjustments, you know, like when we live in the cities, you know, in many cases we are used to certain, you know, conveniences, and you know how we do things, and it's usually much simplified. Oh my god, there is like wasp around me. There is, it's much more simplified, you know, because everything is taken care of. And then when you are sorry, this is really distracting me. Okay, I'm back. I hope the wasp decided that I wasn't worth her time. So yeah, so what I was saying, you know, that there are all these things that we are used to, you know, living in a certain way, you know, the conveniences, the lifestyle, and then when the environment changes, and you know, the aspect of us that is used to these situations, circumstances, conveniences, you know, this aspect of us now is kind of like what's going on, you know, different aspect of us comes out, and then it's all this readjustments period. And this is what I feel that this is what we are going through, or will be going through, where, you know, certain things might not be available, certain things might no longer be worth our time, you know. For example, as I mentioned many times before, or maybe I didn't, you know, like for me is I don't want to live in a big city. I enjoy the conveniences, but I don't want to live in a big city. But then understanding, okay, you want to live in a small city, you know, things are less accessible, or they're more expensive, or, you know, staying in Mexico, you know, you don't have the same kind of Amazon and eBay as you have, for example, in the US or UK, you know, just click of a button and everything is right there, you know. And this is all the consumerism as well, that we are just used to consuming, and everything being available when we want, how we want, how much of it we want. And now being at the farm, you know, like you are far away, you know, if you don't have a car, sorry, you know, it's a beautiful nature around you, but you know, if you want something other than this, then you know, it's not necessarily here. So that's what I mean. So there are all these aspects of our reality that when we are moved to different position, different place and stuff, they you know, the reality around us shift, and then we have to change, you know, because when we change, the reality around us change. But also when the reality around us change, we are forced to change. So this is what I'm experiencing, and my first reaction was like, oh yeah, maybe I was wrong, maybe I don't like living in the nature, maybe I, you know, it's just too hard, you know. And I mean, I only been here 6 days, so you know, it's too early to say. But today is the first day, I mean day 6, today is the first day when I'm actually settling into myself, because it was obviously Monday to Friday are working days on a farm. On the weekend is a little bit lighter schedule, but you know, Monday to Friday you work, right? And I still had my clients' work to take care of. And you know, also with the lunations coming up, I felt this pressure that, well, I need to create my videos and stuff. And I felt so much pressure that I put on myself, just like when I was in the UK, you know, I was putting pressure on myself, and this has to be done, that has to be done and stuff. And, you know, this is like where we also have to learn to respect our own limitations and our own bodies. Like, you know, I came here and I touched down after like not sleeping for a night, traveling for 8 hours, having a 3-hour layover, traveling for another 2 hours, you know, literally coming from one continent to another, and just expecting to like, oh yeah, you wake up next morning and then you go to work and then you do a reading for a client and you just keep going like nothing changed, you know, like you didn't just travel across the Atlantic, you know. And this is what I mean. How many of us are just expecting our body to just push through it, you know, whether you're tired, whether you jet lag, whatever is going on, but we have these expectations because this is the society that we live in it, and the projection of what we, you know, like of the societal standards, which, you know, we are part of the society, we created it, and we just like, you know, go with it because we think that, well, this is the normal. So how many of us are finding ourselves in situation when we are actually starting to become aware that, well, I maybe can't do it, you know, and it doesn't mean I failed. It just means that, okay, well, I need to give my body some time. So this is what I'm trying to say, that now 6 days later, I'm starting to finally settle into my body, when I'm starting to feel more creative or more excited about wanting to create a content, rather just feeling stressed because I feel like, oh my God, you know, I only just got here, I need to do this, I need to do that, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, still like, you know, tend to my clients and stuff. So that's what I mean. We put ourselves under so much pressure because we're living in a time and age which is non-stop. And we feel like, oh my God, if I like close my eyes and fall asleep, then I'll be behind, that I miss out on something, FOMO. But actually there is no such a thing, because we, from the spiritual perspective, we are exactly where we're supposed to be. And we are never too late or too early. Everything is always perfect because the universe always responds to our frequency alike. So there is no such a thing as being late, for something. It's the perfect timing for you. But we're living in a world which is full of comparison and judgment, and this is also, Virgo, comparison and judgment, this lower vibration, this lower frequency that we grown up with. And that's why we don't even question it. We don't even, think twice about it, because it's something that is so natural to us. It's part of that identity. It's part of that cancer, that this is familiar to us. So why would we even question it? But actually, like I said, being now in this environment, and I just spoke to my soul sis because she's my best sounding board to do my brainstorming. My touchstone, she actually offered a lot of clarity, with regards to this for me, because she said like, well, you are interacting with all these different people, different energies, different land, different food, different water, different air, all these different elements that are part of us and we are part of them, all these elements live inside of us. And, when you change your environment, the elements like are shifting, they're not exactly the same as they were in this other place, but we still expect for us just to keep going, because this is what we are being conditioned to do. Just keep going and do the work, right? Because, this we are the cog in a wheel and the wheel keeps turning, right? But actually, yes, when I land in a place like this one, which is such a contrast to being in the UK, which is so interesting for me, this ping pong that I've been playing consciously or unconsciously with myself, being in Mexico, where I feel like little bit, detached from reality, even though, there is, it's plenty of life going on there, like it's a touristic place, Puerto Vallarta. So, there is a lot going on there, but I feel disconnected from the world because I'm like tucked away somewhere, completely different and not really interacting with my, people that I normally interact with or whatever. And then being in Slovakia, where I'm like dumped into the matrix, and it's like, oh my God, all the drama and stuff and all this family karma and all these cords and contracts that I have with all these people. And it's just like, being put, what you learn is being put into the test. Then England, again, busyness and this ghost of the past and stuff. And then, in between was Bulgaria, which is again, going into isolation and hermit mode and being able to just disconnect. So it was like Mexico, Slovakia, Bulgaria, England, so it's like back and forth, the detachment and then the bombardment of the overstimulation, then again detachment, retrieving, and then again the bombardment of the overstimulation. And now it's again the retrieving, being here in the nature, surrounded by mountains, surrounded by, literally just nature. There is nothing else here, just nature. It's like, again, feeling completely like detached and disconnected, but at the same time trying to recalibrate and reconnect with myself. And this was my biggest thing. Like, I was feeling for this past few days at least that, 2 weeks, even since, I stopped being alone in that apartment and the new people moved in, I felt so disconnected. And especially since I arrived here, I felt like disconnected. But then my soul sees shine a light to it and say like, well, you just recalibrating because, you're physically there, but your body has to adjust of you being there. It's like, and this is what I also talk about, whether in my readings or in further or previous videos, that the body is dense, it is nothing wrong with it, but is matter. It's like in tarot cards, the pentacles, they are the slowest moving suit. Is the matter, the matter takes time to move, the matter takes time to change. So for us to be moving from place to place and just expecting, everything to just fall into place straight away and we just keep going, just land and keep going. This is unrealistic. And this is why many times people become sick or, whatever, because we just don't give ourselves the time. But here, I'm forced to give myself a time because there is this work that needs to be done that is connected to nature, manual work, you know. So anyway, so all that said, you know, without just making all this video about myself, this is, I feel, you know, like what probably many people are going through with this full moon in Pisces, lunar eclipse, which, you know, it is a full moon, but it's an eclipse, even though the nodes are still in Aries and Libra. It is eclipses are always like where our higher self is in charge, you know, when we think like, oh yeah, but I have a free will, don't I? Yes, but you see, like, there are certain circumstances, certain times in our life where, you know, whether we want or not, you know, the higher self just pushes us on the back seat and say, okay, well, you know, I am charged, let me just take it from here. So I always felt that the eclipses are like where you can call it destiny, it doesn't matter whether you call it fate, destiny, your higher self or whatever, is the same thing, you know, when the spirit is in charge. And I mean, this one is in Pisces, so it's all about spirit, you know. Neptune is conjunct the eclipse, you know, like I said, the moon is in a closing phase to Neptune, which is saying that we need to let go of this ego, you know, the identity to I know it all and I should figure it out it all. And this is also in many channelings, and many times the spirit comes through with the message that we just make it so complicated for ourselves, actually, where if we just sometimes step away and just relax and just allow for things to happen or to unfold, rather than us trying to control them and feel like, oh, I need to have it all figured out and I need to have all the ducks in a row right here, right now, like this very moment, you know, if we just relax and just allow for things to unfold on their own, usually things just happen, you know, easily, without too much effortlessly, you know, like there doesn't have to be such a struggle. But again, we were being told to have this, you know, plans, you know, this 5-year plan, you know, so many times when I was growing up, people say, well, what is your 1-year plan, 3-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know where I'll be next year, you know. So how can I have a 5-year plan? You know, I don't even know who I will be next year. So this is what I mean. We were all, well, most of us, brought up and conditioned to live this way. You know, there always has to be a structure. There always has to be a plan. We always have to be logical. We always have to have it all figured out. All this like logical brain, you know, we were being conditioned that the brain, you know, the logical mind has to be in charge. That is the master. But actually not so much anymore, especially with Mercury being in a sign of Virgo. You know, now, well, at least for a little bit longer, because Mercury is going to move into the sign of Libra after the eclipse in Pisces and before the eclipse in Libra. So this is all about these adjustments that we are making, and we know that Mercury is post-retrograde and now is out of his shadow as well, and his recent retrograde was in Leo, and the one before that was in Aries. So this is new direction through this heart-centered consciousness, the reconnection to your heart, reconnection to the inner child, also reconnection with the intuition, because we might be aware that we have the grand water trine in the sky and also the kite that is in action at the moment. And this is all about this reconnection with our intuition, with our feelings, you know, and also being able to embody that, you know, like having all these download and intuitive hits that we can bring into practical application and into everyday reality. And this is, you know, at least what I'm learning right here, right now, because I really had this strong message, you know, from the spirit. I'm like, why do I feel so disconnected? You know, why am I so struggling to channel and stuff? And I continuously am being guided that you need to ground, you know, like you are surrounded by nature. This is your time to ground, to reconnect with Mama Gaia, Mama Pacha, you know, to be able to embody, you know, there is so much wisdom and so much, you know, knowledge, information that's coming through all of us, really, because we all intuitive, we all channelers all the time. We channeling, you know, information from the universe. We might just not always, you know, identify it as such, you know, but Daryl Anka and Bashar are claiming that there is not a single thought that ever was created in your mind. You know, everything comes from your higher self. The mind is just the translator. You know, it's just the receptor, just the translator, but it's not being created there. So if you think about it that way, that, okay, everything that is in my mind, you know, it's coming from, you know, somewhere, okay, then yeah, we are channeling. You know, people might think, well, I'm not very intuitive, I don't know how to channel, but majority of the things are, you know, channeled, right, that we are interacting with daily. But then we need to be able to ground it and bring it into practical application. And now, as I mentioned, Sun already being in Taurus, decan of the Virgo, you know, of the Virgo sign, this is what we're doing. We're trying to put that which we learned, especially with Mercury retrograde, you know, in Leo season, we're trying to put it into practical application, reconnect with our authentic essence, with our you know, joyous expression. And this is also, you know, I'm trying to be the same person here as I'm everywhere else, but that's not possible, you know, because there are all these different aspects of ourselves that wants to come out to play, and you know, and want to be acknowledged. And right now this aspect of myself is like, I want to be in nature. I just want to do nothing. I just want to reconnect with nature. And then I have my ego mind that's go, oh, you're gonna get eaten by the mosquitoes, you know, which is like, I'm covered, you know. And then there is an aspect of me, but you need to do your channeling, and you need to do things that you always do somewhere different. And this is the struggle, you know. This is the struggle, because again, you know, we might think that, oh, I want to change, and I want my reality to change, and I want the world to change, but we disregard and ignore the attachments we have to the versions of ourselves we were, and the reality that, you know, was the part of our life until this point. And this is also something that I've been very strongly recognizing in these past few days, that, you know, just how attached we are, whether it's working for us or not, to, like I said, the conveniences, these certain lifestyle, certain habits, certain you know, like routines, certain familiarity. So we might say, just like I say all the time, like, oh, I'm totally up for living simple life in the nature. Well, here you got it, you know. You are on a farm. Here you got it, simple lifetime, here you got it, it's right here available to you. And then I go, oh, but you know, it's not quite what I thought. How can I bring everything that I'm used to into this, you know? And that's exactly what I mean. In order to create this reality that we say we want, this different world, this 5D, you know, whatever, which is just a different state of frequency, different state of mind, we need to let something go, you know. We cannot bring that all with us and then have also the other experience, because a lot of that is incompatible, is energetical mismatch. So, you know, like for me, like, well, you cannot have everything that you used to and do everything that you always do, but also be able to have this experience. And, you know, like, there is only a certain amount of time we have at our disposal every day. So we need to decide, yeah? 7 of Cups, we need to choose. A lot of options to choose from. So anyway, guys, and then of course after that we will be having the new moon in Libra, you know, which will be seeding the energy of this, what does it mean, the balance, what does it mean, this different way of relating to, you know, ourselves, each other, and the life around us. So in essence, and again, I feel I'm just circling around the message, but potentially not like hitting the core message of it all. But this is literally what's happening, you know. This is literally what's happening for us. To us, for us, whichever way we look, and the leaves are just falling around us, which is again, you know, the analogy of the nature. You know, the nature is not afraid to let it go. The nature is not afraid to let these old leaves go, because it trusts that there will be another spring, that the leaves will grow again, new, stronger than before. You know, the nature is in this continuous state of flow and surrender to the cycles of life, and we continuously trying to control it and struggle against it and go, no, this is not what I want something different, you know, like with the ego, I know the best, you know. So like I said, like me having these high expectations from myself, I need to record my video before I leave England, and the spirit is like, meh, you know, might not be possible, sorry. You know, there are different factors in play that needs to be manifested, which are more important for your evolution and soul's experience. So here we go, you know, 1 week later, and it's like, okay, yeah, now is a good time. You had enough time to rest and relax. Maybe now you can tune in. And yeah, the other factor, like, you know, we keep dancing around is the self-care. And this is what a lot of people been talking about, you know, recently in their video, which is also a component of Virgo, because it's the grand earth trine, you know, which, you know, each of these signs, they affect each other and everything else. So we have the Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, right? We need to have the foundation, which is part of which is the self-care, you know, the Cancer sextile between Taurus and Cancer. And Also, Virgo is the putting into practice, learning and adjusting, and then Capricorn is creating the new structure of the reality, is the path towards self-mastery. So this is all part of it, Virgo is all about healing and making, clean up and detox and tidy up and stuff, and creating this different environment for ourselves through which we will then create the change, that will eventually manifest into form, just like we are going to be experiencing equinox next weekend, which is the change of season for us here in a higher northern hemisphere. It is going to be the fall, the autumn, and like I said, I can see leaves all around me falling off the trees, falling off the trees. So here we go, you see, like probably next week, 2 weeks time, I'm going to be showing you the same view and it's gonna look very different color. So that's what I mean, it's this continuous change and the flow of life, but we are so rigidly attached to certain way, to certain identity, certain way of doing things, kind of being robotic, like this is what society wants us to be. Don't think about it, don't question nothing, and just keep going, like robotic. But this is why, and I already discussed this, and it's Virgo, so perhaps time to mention it again, because Virgo is about, health. This is why so many people are sick, because we are completely ignoring our body and our what we need, just like our essential stuff, and also the fact that we are not designed, and again this is something I already mentioned, we are not designed to keep going 24/7 365 days a year. Look at the nature. This is not how the nature works. There has to be the ebb and flow, ebb and flow. But we keep pushing ourselves, and then we become sick, or we get chronic disease or something different, something even more so. And it's also the levels of stress. This is all that we already spoke about. And now being in an environment that is completely different from the environment I've been experiencing recently, I can see the changes. I can see these other aspects of myself that maybe I didn't even know that this is what I needed. Maybe I didn't know that digging in the earth, potatoes or something, or taking the weed out is something that could be therapeutic. Okay, would I want to do it every single day for the rest of my life? Probably not. But we don't know until we try, and we don't know just how important the aspects of our reality are until we either don't have them or experience them anew. So this is all this Virgo, and this is all creating this foundation for the new, because the old is on its way out. And once again, this is the Pisces full moon lunar eclipse, which is showing us and helping us to re-experience what it is that no longer is going to be supportive in this process going forward, whether we like it or not, because the structure of the reality is changing. Just like for me, my view has completely changed in 1 week. The view from my window, better or worse. Well, in my case, better, but better or worse, it doesn't matter. But everything is always changing. But we somehow believe or think that we're supposed to stay the same. And if something changes in our life, that is like a bad thing. But is it? This is again the ego and our insecurity and fear that what if the new thing is not the same? What if we don't like it? Which is also, this was also coming from one of the videos I recently came across from Darilanka Bashar, that said that, if you don't have, what you want, what you say you want, then obviously, like there's something in you that believe that that which you do have is better than that which you don't have. Because, we might think like, oh yeah, I want this thing, I want to be rich or something. But actually, there are aspects of ourselves that don't want that, like, I would have to, for example, pay more taxes. People will want my money. I would not know who my friends are. What if people think that I'm a thief or a scam or something? So this is what I mean, every time that we are interacting with life will show us what it is, especially through triggers and circumstances, what it is that, is preventing us from having that which we say we want. And do we really? So straight away, Spirit put, to continue this analogy with regards to money, when you hear about rich people, or when you interact or see rich people, what are the feelings that you get? What is the first thing, the first thought that pops into your head? And I know for sure from my background and the way I was brought up, you know, which created this like mentality in me, was that, oh, you know, rich people are bad, or, you know, like they cheat, or they steal, you know, they steal money from other people, from government or something, you know. So, you know, especially even now when I'm, you know, when I'm at home with my parents, when they see somebody rich, all this judgment, all these stories that are designed to make us feel better, to make us feel better about the situation that we are experiencing at the moment, and to keep us stuck. That, oh yeah, I don't want to be like that. I don't want other people to think that this about me, this story. And this is just one of the examples, but what about the other examples, you know, like relationships, or, you know, health, or, you know, I don't know, work, whatever, you know, like. And I really resonated. I really can't remember which video it was, because sometimes just random things pop onto my screen when you know, when I'm looking for things to watch. But yeah, this was very profound, because there was that lady that was saying like, yeah, you know, I want to move into this, you know, different state of, you know, different experience, you know, like, but what about these people, you know, that I'll have to leave behind and stuff. And, you know, the channel, and I'm completely butchering it up, but, you know, the core message was, you know, Bashar was saying that, well, that means that you still, you know, attached to it. You still prefer that which you have to that which you don't have, because otherwise you would, you know, like you would let it go, which sounds like very easy. And that person was arguing with him, because he's like, yeah, much easily said than done. And he said, well, that's a story, you know, much easily said than done, you know. It's a story we tell ourselves. Is it or is it not? Well, if we keep saying it to ourselves and believing it, we find a proof for it. And this is really like how, when I really sometimes have these moments of, oh my god, my sunglasses just fell off, never mind. When I have these moments, like profound realizations, where sometimes, you know, like this, I don't know, like this, I don't even know how to call it, but like the building blocks of reality, I kind of like, some of them reveal to me, and, you know, understanding certain things, like, when I sometimes have these moments of realization about what reality really is and how it works, even though I have quite a good perception, and it's very easy for me to zoom out and understand the patterns, but sometimes it goes deeper than that. And, you know, like, it just can go till forever, you know, the universe is vast. But when we really understand that everything, all this, it really is just a game which we are creating, and we are willing and eager participant in, because the soul wanted to come here, and like just going through this continuous re-experiencing of the same patterns because of the amnesia, which once again we voluntarily put ourselves under, to be able to have an experience, you know, just like when you do, I don't know, like when you do skydiving, and you know, like you like in terror and fear. I mean, I don't know, maybe some people are not. That's how I felt each time I jumped, and I jumped 4 times, you know, like each time, like there is this excitement, you know. It's this like, I think probably this is the best analogy, you know, like, I mean, if you've done any adrenaline sports, you know, or any like, you know, crazy things like skydiving, bungee jumping, or stuff like that, or even going on a crazy rides on a, you know, roller coasters, and there is this like fear and excitement mixed together, you know. You are so excited to have this experience, but you are like literally, you know, pooping yourself. The ego is like freaking out, like, you doing what? You know, you doing what? So I feel it's the same, you know. We come here as a spirit, and we have this super excitement about it, like, oh yeah, we're going for this ride, we're gonna jump out of the airplane, you know, with parachute, hopefully. And then we are, you know, put into the physical body, and then the ego, you know, like kicks in, because the ego is part of the human experience, and it goes, you what? You sure you want to do that? You know, so that's what I mean. So it's like this continuous dance, you know, the dance, because the spirit, the soul wants to have an experience, and the ego is like, no, we're not doing that, you know. We need to keep stuck in the past, because it's safe, it's what we know, and this is how we keep recreating the same, you know, patterns and circumstances and experiences. So this is why I guess it's good to shuffle it up, you know, like whether you change your environment or habits, or add something new to your life, because it shows you a completely different aspects of yourself. So for example, like I said, for me, coming into the farm and having all these romantic rose-tinted idea about, oh, what is like living on a farm, it's amazing, all nature, hey, and then it's like, oh yeah, you have to get up early, and you have these responsibilities, and you're gonna get eaten by the bugs even though you have a repellent, because you are a fresh meat on the market and they like it. And stuff like that. So I mean, and then thinking like, oh my god, is this how it is every day forever? Like if you work on a farm or in a nature, you just get eaten by the bugs and mosquitoes and stuff. And it's just like, well, every reality has its pros and cons. Just like, like Teal Swan was talking about in one of her recent video, and maybe I already mentioned this, why most people don't become successful. She had this very profound video, which I think it was released about a month ago, and it's literally titled something like why most people don't become successful or something like that, because we think that which we want is going to be a smooth, easy ride and everything is going to be easy, like part of that experience. And that's why when things start being tricky or difficult, or, an aspect of that what we want present itself, like for example, you want to be successful, you need to put a time in, or, you have to work antisocial hours, or I don't know, whatever, whatever come, everything is a mixed bags of goods, just like this human life, at the moment. It's and that's why we come here, because this planet Earth has the widest range of polarities available. It's like you can experience whatever you want in here, it's all available. It's just a matter of frequency, right? So that's what I mean, like if we really believe that you get into whatever you want, marry certain person, getting certain job, getting certain status, having certain amount of money, it's all just gonna be easy, then yeah, probably not, like, so, just like she used the examples, if people wanted to be financially, I think, free, by certain age and stuff, and one person, they were going through the same, she offers, I'll try to find a video, I'll link it below, I really recommend watching it, and I don't even know how this is anything to do with these lunations, but anyway, spirit somehow wants me to talk about this, because we feel that if there is something that I really want, it's supposed to be easy, and if I come across challenges or situations that I don't like about this experience, we give up, because then we think like, okay, well, maybe it's not what I thought, or maybe because it's not easy, maybe it's not meant to be, or something. But this is always universe testing us and giving us the full range of that experience. The experience is never just gonna have one polarity, it's all gonna be perfect or it's all gonna be bad. The experience comes as a whole package. Yes. So like for me here on a farm, like, yeah, I love the nature, I love the stars covered sky, because there is no pollution here, no light pollution, like eating organic food grown on a farm and stuff. There are so many plus, and being in a close connection with people who are like-minded or whatever. But then there are aspects that I like less, so it's like, oh, okay, so like I was saying to my soulcies yesterday, oh yeah, maybe I was wrong, maybe I don't like this, maybe this is not for me. Not for me, I don't like this, maybe I'm too attached to my convenience, because this is the ego, the old identities, this 29 degrees Pluto in Capricorn and Neptune, conjuncting the eclipse coming up, this is what we know, the totality of what we know, the familiarity that is trying to convince us that no, I don't like this new, because there are aspects of it I don't like, so obviously now I'm scrapping the whole thing, I don't like it, I'm just gonna go back to my my default, where I was and who I was, because this is the familiar, this is what I enjoy, because I know it. Do I really enjoy it? Not necessarily, but I know it. So it's familiar, and therefore I think I enjoy it because I know this. Oh, give me that, because this is something, like just as I keep, saying the jokes about my bless my parents. My parents, my greatest teachers. That if there is no drama in my parents' life, they have to create some, because it's like we need some drama to recognize ourselves, because otherwise, who are we? Give me some drama so I know it's me, and stuff like that. So that's what I mean. There will be all these new circumstances and experiences coming into your life, the more that you put the intention out there that I want the change, I want my life to change, and you will not enjoy all of them. Like we have the totality of understanding what was, but this new is unknown. So when these new situations and experiences come into your life, and now I understand why Spirit led me here. When these new experiences and situations come into your life, you'll experience the whole back of it, whole whole bag of it, the positives and the challenging aspects of this new experience, you know, but it doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't mean this is not the right way to go, and that's why we need to intuit and engage our, you know, extra sensory perceptions, you know, our body, what our body is saying, but also what our intuition is saying to us, you know, like use all of it and observe, you know, and give it time, because time and space, we know that we are, you know, the body is the slowest moving, you know, the pentacles, you know, the density of the human body, of the physicality. So we need to give it time and have the experience to actually then be able to discern, Virgo, is this what I want, right? But when we first encounter the experience and we are coming across all these different aspects of it, positive and not so positive, then that is not the good time to decide, because this is just a new experience being introduced ourselves, and then it's very easy for us to want to go backwards, you know, to that experience that we now mastered. So it's easy, you know, we already mastered this experience. It's easy, even though we might not like it or is no longer helping us to grow and evolve, but it's easy because we already mastered it. We already know it. This Pisces age, this suffering, this, you know, people pleasing, putting people first, sacrifice, you know, projection, judgment, you know, this is all familiar. Give me more of that, you know, so I know who I am. This is all familiar, and it's easy because we already mastered it. Is this Pisces, Neptune, full moon in Pisces, lunar eclipse, it's easy. But, you know, with this Venus square to Pluto, I believe there is a Mercury square to Jupiter, you know, there is all these different, obviously Mars square in the notes, all these squares, there are all these squares that are there's going to be trine between Sun and Uranus next week. They are indicating to us, you know, this displacement, planetary placements, that a change has to take place. The change has to take place. It's time for change, you know. So interacting and introduce new things that don't necessarily feel easy, or the totality of this experience doesn't feel easy because it's not familiar. Just like for me being here, this is not familiar for me. So yeah, it's easy for me to straight away after 1 week decide, oh yeah, I was wrong. I don't think this is for me. Maybe, you know, one time and then never again, you know. But this is not necessarily the truth, because what my ego is trying to do is bring me back to who I was, to go, oh, this is familiar, this is what I know, let's just go to Mexico and chill, you know. And hide, you know. But actually I know in my soul's essence, for me personally, being Aquarius rising, I do want to be part of community. I do want to belong. I do want to be surrounded by nature and like-minded people and live this is like, it's not just a story for me, it's something that I deeply resonate with. But when spirit brought me to this place and I'm introduced through this physical body to this experience, and this physical body moves slowly, and I'm Taurus on the top of that, it's like, oh, you know, this is not familiar, I don't like this, I don't recognize it, maybe I was wrong, maybe I don't like this vision this vision of the future. Let's go to the past and convenience and be stuck, because we know that the past no longer works. It doesn't work anymore. The past no longer works. It makes us feel stuck, you know, and that is the square, you know, this pressure that is wanting us to change. But when the change comes and when the new experience comes, we might not necessarily recognize it for what it is, because we just see it as something foreign, something unfamiliar, the North Node in Aries. We just have to be brave and courageous and give it time, you know, give it time, because Aries and Virgo, there is an inconjunction. We don't see the experience, we don't see the journey ahead. We just at the beginning of it, and Mars being in Cancer, square in the nodes pointing to the North Node, ruled by Mars in Cancer. So the ruler of the North Node is squaring the nodes pointing to the North Node. It's saying that yes, we need to get past this, you know, past this stuckness of trying something different and straight away rejecting it because it's not comfortable or it's unfamiliar, because we're not recognizing it. The ego doesn't recognize it is something that it knows, and therefore it's straight away going to reject it, and is want to pull us back into this old, you know, this Pisces, you know, into this 29 degrees Capricorn and Neptune in Pisces and Moon in a closing phase with the, you know, with the eclipse, which is saying like, yeah, let's just go to the old, but actually that old is dead end. The old is no longer available, you know. So anyway, 50 minutes later, I go to the core of the message. Thank you, Spirit. I go to the core of the message, which is like why I was talking about all of this, that yes, all these experiences that I am having, and I'm sure many of you are having, which are new and unfamiliar, and in many cases uncomfortable, which are making us feel that, oh, okay, maybe this is not the way to go because it doesn't feel comfortable, it doesn't feel familiar, and my ego doesn't like it. Straight away I'm going to reject it, and let me just go to the old default program or what I used to do before, because what I know, and this is how I recognize who I was. Can you see the bugs? So that's what I mean. 1 week in on a farm, and let's see how the rest goes. But don't I don't know what is the saying, I can't think of it, but the essence of what I'm trying to say is don't discard, don't disregard this new experience just because it's new and unfamiliar, because you don't know what is awaiting you, on this journey. You only know that this is something that I don't know yet, and I'm afraid because I don't recognize or I don't know the step-by-step process. I don't know the outcome, I don't know where this is going to go. This is the Chiron, this is the Chiron, exactly. This is the Chiron we have also active, which is saying that, we need to get past our wounding once again that is keeping us stuck. Mars is the ruler, squaring the nodes, pointing to the North Node, which is in a new phase conjunction with this Chiron, right? We had the conjunction back in February, just before the full moon in Virgo, of course. So these are the adjustments, and it's a step-by-step process. So the final closing message is just observe, observe, discern, and just keep an open mind, because Mercury is in Virgo. Virgo is all about mutability. We are ending the Virgo season, or we are on Taurian decan. We're creating a foundation for a new cycle ahead, but all we see so far is the totality of what was. We not yet see what's coming because it's unfamiliar and the ego doesn't recognize it, and therefore in many cases we want to reject it. The first response would be rejection, like I don't like this, I don't want this, because it's unfamiliar and it's uncomfortable, because this is where the growth is, right? And this looks differently for different people, but in essence, we all have to go through this process, because we know that the old way, Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, Pluto 29 degrees of Capricorn, the old way will not be available for much longer. It will not. We are in this transitionary period, which is at the moment here, to get us from Pisces age to Aquarian age transition, because we still are living the after effects of the Pisces age, but the Aquarian age is already here. The North Node is already in Aries, it's already here, and then it's going to move into Pisces in January, and then the year and a half after that, it will be the process of adjusting and releasing and letting go, and the eclipses will continue to be in Virgo and Pisces, but we still have one more in Aries at the end of March, just as Neptune moved into the sign of Aries, no less. So that's what I mean. So this is what's happening, guys. And like I said, this would be showing up differently for different people. This is how it's showing up for me in my personal life. It might show up in a very different way for you in your reality, but the core message is the same. We are all being shown what is no longer working. We feel it, we intuit it, we know it on a deep core heart level, because it no longer makes us happy, and it no longer resonates, because the expansion, because the consciousness of humanity is expanding, is rising, the frequency is rising, and more people are waking up. But we don't know this path ahead. We don't know where we're going. Also, it's going to look differently for different people. There's the multidimensionality that we will be experiencing more and more, especially as Uranus will move into the sign of Gemini from 2025 and then fully 2026 onwards. But this is a preparation. This is a preparation. We see the illumination. We feel the seeds of the new, and it's the adjustment period. It's the transitionary period of learning and adjusting and trying new things, and not expecting for it to be perfect, and not expecting for all the answers to reveal themselves on a first day, but just give it some time and see how it goes. See where it's going to take you, because at the end of the day, this is a full moon, which is a halfway. Full moon is a midway point between the new moon and new moon. The cycle begins and ends with the new moon. So we will have much more clarity with regards to these energies by the new moon in Pisces 2025, which will be, I believe, at the end of February. I believe, if I remember correctly, February 25th or something like that. And by this point, of course, Pluto is back in a sign of Aquarius. The nodes will have already moved. Mars, I believe, just stations direct and will be still in Cancer squaring. Well, actually, we will no longer be squaring the nodes. I believe it will be trining. Now it's squaring the nodes and the moon by conjunction of the nodes and Neptune, but it will be trining. I'm pretty sure it's going to be trining. Mars is going to be trining this new moon in Pisces in February 2025. So this will be the process that we are experiencing from now to then, that we will be undergoing and making decisions. And of course, the year will end just as it began, with a new moon in Capricorn. And this one will be on Capricornian Decan, unlike the first one, which was on Taurian Decan. No, Taurian, Virgo Decan. That was 20 degrees, 44 minutes. So yeah, so it was a Virgo Decan. We began the year with Capricorn new moon on Virgo Decan, with moon in a sign of Virgo. So this entire year, it's about learning and adjusting, flexibility, and making a choice, and taking responsibility and stepping into our inner authority to create a new structure of our reality that is based on a different foundation. And this is the unknown, right? So anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave it at this. I'm just going to leave it as it is, you know. I'm not going to add anything further with regards to channelings or cards or anything. I did pull some cards for our lunation, so you can find some at the end of that video. But I hope that there was some value in this video for you, that perhaps some of what I mentioned resonated and maybe offered some clarity, because at the end of the day, it is a Pisces full moon and Neptune is involved, and it has the squares, you know, between Jupiter and Mercury and Mars and who knows what else. I don't have the chart in front of me right now, but I know there are quite a few squares active in this lunation. So this is creating a lot of confusion and discomfort, which might make us believe that, oh, maybe this is not the right way to go. I just stay put, I just stay stuck because this new just feels too uncomfortable, so it cannot be good for me. You know, it's just like Spirit just giving me the last analogy of when you go to gym, you know, and then you ache all over your body. After the first workout, you have this terrible body ache all over, and you feel, oh no, I'm not built for this, this is not good for me. You know, it can't be good for me if it hurts so much, you know, where actually you know that you just build in resiliency and stamina, and this is what we're going through. You know, just because it doesn't immediately feel good, because like, as I said, it's not familiar and convenient, it doesn't make it wrong. So yeah, this is for each and every each and every one of us to discern upon. And like I said, what is right and what is wrong, it's up to individual, and it will mean different things to different people. And that's the Jupiter in Gemini, which will be retrograde from next month onwards. So yeah, there will be more reevaluation after the eclipse in Libra. So anyway, guys, I wish you all a wonderful rest of the weekend. Have a great week ahead. Many blessings for the full moon, lunar eclipse in Pisces. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just about being conscious and discerning and aware, you know, because again, if you want to make a change, we need to be aware and accept where we are, and then it's a step-by-step process, Virgo. So much love, everyone. Have a wonderful time, and I'll speak to you again next week. Bye for now.